But you, O Lord, are gracious and full of compassion, slow to anger, and full of kindness and truth. Amen. It is challenging to come to church and hear churchy words. We may think we know what they mean. We may think that, oh yes, I do this or I do that. But at the end of the day, they're challenging churchy words. And it's easy to keep them at bay. It's easy to let church stay on Sunday and life come again on Monday. There was once a young man in his mid-30s. He was on his way home. A place he hadn't seen in a very long time, 15 years or more, when they kicked him out. They sent him away. He might have gone to, maybe Los Angeles or New York, Miami, possibly even San Francisco. Someplace at a far distance, for he knew he had no home there anymore. As he was getting ready, as he was packing his bag, he remembered those days. They kicked him out. They said, never come back, because you're gay. You're not welcome here. So he wondered, will they welcome me again, even though they've said yes? Will there be such words as grace and compassion? Will there be kindness? Will there be truth? He thought to himself, for they even said, your God doesn't love you. So he left. He went a long way away. But this time was different. He was going to tell them something they did not want to know and had no idea what was to come. He had contracted HIV and was turning into full-blown AIDS in a day that there was no cure, in a day that meant death. Swift death. It was time to go home. Words such as this from the psalm today, but you, O Lord, we said. But you are words that we think about maybe with passing matter, or words we might have thought about in English composition as freshmen in college, maybe in high school, writing that poem that the teacher said, okay, go write a poem about a pretty flower. Well, there might be kindness, there might be remembrance, but that was a long time ago for most of us, I think. Words are those things that, however, help us make up who we are. Help us understand what goes on the inside as much as what goes on the outside. So the plane landed, and he was exhausted because he still had an hour and a half drive to that little town, possibly in the Midwest, possibly down south. Regardless, it was a ways away, off the beaten path. And he had to tell a story people don't want to hear. But it was time to tell it. And in that town, they started to gather at his mother's house. That family, his dad said he'd never come home again. His aunt and uncle from down the street, his niece from back from college, and his brother from a neighboring town. They started to gather. They started to talk with excitement and fear. They hadn't seen him in so long, but we recognize him. They didn't know what they were going to hear. They didn't know the story he was to tell. They just wanted to see him after all these years. Together, they came together, slowly and surely. The day had arrived. So they thought. They thought independently of where this was going to go, what was going to happen, what was going to come up when they saw each other's eyes once again. Were we going to see a child and a parent? Or were we going to see a stranger? Someone we didn't know? Crazy church words like grace and compassion, kindness, truth, and slow to anger, these words start to make sense when we deal with life as life is. They start to make sense when we actually have to deal with relationships that were hurt, that were broken, and that were separated. A real life that we live. A life that is our life. This psalm is so powerful because I believe we know the opposite. We know what it means to not be shown grace, to not be shown compassion, to not be shown kindness, to not be told the truth. We know that in the human life. We know that with one another. And so we shy away, we step back. Some may even do it so strongly that they choose to never enter into relationship with anyone. The heart closes down and we stay away. But there is a flip side. People may do the same. Others may do the same to us. They may not let us in. They may not allow our lives to enter their lives. Why? Fear. Fear that there may not be compassion. Fear that truth may not be told. There's one more churchy word, you'll excuse me. It's called sin. And that is that brokenness. That is that separation. That is that distance that is human that keeps us apart. It's plain and simply that, but it's a scary word. We don't want to use it. We want to stay away. Oh, that's too churchy. That's too close to what we just may know. In the world and in our lives, that young man knew, and his mother knew as well. But is that not what this psalm is for? Possibly sewing it back together. And so he finally arrives at the door and he knocks and all the hearts stop for just a moment, and then the doorknob turns and they see for the first time in over 15 years, eye to eye, and the tears flow. And they hug for what seems like 10 minutes or more, and it possibly could have been. They just embraced, all of them. Slowly they gathered in the living room and started to tell those stories. Tell the stories of past. Tell the stories of present. and he was waiting for some water. It was a long drive. He needed something. He started to shake. He knew something he had to say, but was afraid. He was afraid of truth. His mother finally brought some water, and he took a good sip and set it down on the coffee table in front of him. And there was silence. He took a big breath, and he said, "There's something I have to say to you. I'm HIV positive, and I'm going to die soon," the doctors said. And his mother, who's sitting right by his side, didn't say a word. She didn't do anything. She didn't touch him. She reached to take a sip of water, but not from her own glass, from his. She didn't sip, she didn't gulp, just a good wetting of the whistle. She couldn't say, "I love you." She couldn't say, "I forgive you." She could only live those words because she knew that in the past they had been hollow. They had been empty. But no longer. Is that not a Good Friday faith? A Friday that knew separation, tearing apart, being not one with one another? Is that not the Holy Saturday faith of death? Is that not the Easter faith of resurrection and new life? Oh yes. Yes. It is there that God takes all those churchy words and sows them in our lives and makes us whole again.